Fantasy Six-Pack Hour with your hosts, Jo Bond and AJ Applegarth.
All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Jo Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me, as usual, Mr. AJ Applegarth. What's up, man?
Cheers. What's happening?
I promise we did not both plan to wear gray beer shirts.
Mine is brown, first of all.
It looks kind of grayish, but...
Well, it's not. Okay.
All right. Well, fine.
Jeez.
We can thank the lighting.
Sorry. Let me just do it. This is the Bases Loaded shirt from none other than RotoWare, one of my newest Hershey's has. Got a couple others that I'm going to break out as well.
All right,
Not
all
tonight,
right.
but for upcoming shows.
Of course you spent money. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So we got a good show tonight, everybody. We're going to be talking about the impact of the new rules, and I know we talked about that in the offseason a little bit, but now we've got some data behind it, like what's actually happening, and it is pretty eye-opening. I'm not gonna lie. Like I did the research this afternoon, and I'm stunned by what's going on. You know, I think we all thought there'd be, a little bit more offense, a little less pitching, but it's pretty crazy. So stay tuned for that.
A little more rock and roll.
Before we get into that, though, make sure you hit those subscribe buttons, hit that like button, leave those comments, those 5 stars, wherever you're watching or listening. We appreciate it. And then, again, everybody, make sure you jump into FantasySixPack.net/plans and sign up to become an all-access member of Fantasy Six-Pack. We've got our number 1 accurate ranker over on Fantasy Pros here, doing our rest of season rankings. We've got DFS content. We've got betting projections. We've got waiver wire, hitting planners, pitching planners. Best of all, honestly, to me, best of all, you get access to all of us on Discord to ask your custom league advice, your questions, whatever you've got. And we've got a ton of guys asking questions over there right now. And, I guarantee they're reaping the benefits of that in their leagues. So we are ready and usually quick to answer your questions over there on Discord. But before we get into everything here, let's bring in our third co-host. I should probably just bring him in early now at this point.
Oh,
Mr. Depp, I love how it puts Depp up top. Depp, what's up, man? Welcome back.
Hey, thank you guys. Love being back. This is awesome.
I enjoy having you on, man. So
thank you.
So you know the show. You know what? I got one question for you before we go into beer of the week.
I knew something was coming.
You
Go
knew
ahead.
it was coming.
I knew it was coming.
How do you like Las Vegas?
I hate you.
As an Oakland A's fan, how do you like Las Vegas? Because it's coming.
So here's the thing, right? Like so many people have posted on Twitter, like Oakland A's fans, showing like where the Coliseum was just rocking before this current ownership took over, who just decimated the fan base. Here's the thing, like Oakland as a city has just had, the Golden State Warriors taken away, the Raiders taken away. So I feel for them. But at the same time, like the Coliseum is an awful ballpark. I mean, God, I just couldn't imagine being in the visitor room. I mean, I've heard some awful things about, like, I forgot who said it. They actually came up with a story last week about apparently there's some type of wild animal that exists in the visitors broadcast booth that just is known that, you're going to deal with this wild badger or whatever the case is. I mean, that's how bad this kind of facility is, and it hasn't been upgraded like at all. I'm not even talking about like ownership boxes or floating icy machines. I'm talking about just, facilities in general instead of just a trough.
I mean, isn't this why the Raiders moved also? Like, they just decided they're not,
Yeah.
Oakland decided they're not spending money on teams, which seems weird.
I know.
Sure.
Look,
That's
from
why the Overstock.com changed its name to O.co, because Oakland, as a city, just did not want to pay for that many letters in a sponsorship for their garbage facility. And I don't blame them. But
Sorry, we got to turn it into an acronym. It's just too many letters.
yeah, exactly.
Well, so just getting to it, I go to Vegas quite a bit. I am excited about that part of it. I'm sad to see that, the long, rich history of Oakland is going to go away, but, the writing was on the wall for a while. So I am really bummed, and I will be drinking heavily throughout the show.
How is that different from
Speaking of that, let's get to our beer/drink of the week.
beer?
Dab, what are you gonna be drinking?
Easy, Homer.
I'm gonna be drinking ownership tears. No, I am drinking Tito's vodka, because when you really absolutely have to drown your sorrow because you love a team who hates you, you drink Tito's.
Out of a small bottle.
Out of a small bottle, because
Tears can fit in that bottle.
I figure that's all the tears I have left. Thanks.
Are those your tears that you like put back in?
Yes, distilled 40 years.
I think I do have my my Rolling Stones Voodoo Lounge CD somewhere. Let me queue up Out of Tears real quick. Hold on.
I do have my Pitch Ninja shirt on though.
Yes. Well, that was one of my other purchases from again RotoWare. Let them dress you.
Don't care. I don't care what you bought, AJ. I don't care. I'm sorry. What? What did you say? I'm sorry.
I said RotoWare. Let them dress you because you can't dress yourself.
Okay, sorry. I thought I was on mute. I apologize. Go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
No, you weren't.
No.
All right, AJ, what you got? What did you just drink?
This is a glorious Treehouse Brewing that a friend of mine gave me, because he's more of a bourbon guy now, so he's too highbrow for the beverages of choice known as beer. This is Curiosity 129. It is their American Double IPA. It is 1 pint. That's 16 ounces for those who are bad with conversions. And it is a 7.8%er. Tasty. I mean, I don't think I've had a bad beer from them. So,
yeah, Treehouse is solid stuff.
Very good.
Very, very, very good. And I just went to go check in my beer, and I got blew up by Mike checking in about 5 million things on Facebook and Twitter, and I couldn't get to where I needed to go. So
Sorry for doing my
thanks
job.
and no thanks at the same time, Mike. All right, so I'm drinking a Idiom Brewing Company Lost in the Mist, the double IPA, an Imperial double IPA. I'm gonna give this a 4 1/4. I really like this one, man. It's been a while since I've had like a really good IPA. Like I feel like I've just had a bunch of mediocre ones lately. So this is a good one.
It's probably because of material sourcing and supply chain. That's my guess.
He's not lying actually, but like he's
You don't have material.
he's trying to be funny, but he's not being funny at the same time. Like I go into the beer store and like it's slim pickings right now. Like you remember the place we went to when you were down here, AJ, Brew Belly?
Yeah,
They only have like half their coolers full right now.
that sucks.
It's pretty sad.
Did you say you went to the beer store?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's just a store just for beer, or is it
Beer.
like a liquor store?
No. So Maryland does
All of them together.
beer. You can sell beer and wine in the same place, but liquor is its own thing.
No.
Really?
Yeah. So when I lived in Virginia, you could sell beer and wine in the grocery stores.
Okay.
even, and then there were also, but then liquor was outside.
So I can get liquor, beer, and wine all in the same store. I don't know where you're shopping. That you can.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I just have I just go to like
You don't
beer
even drink
specialty
liquor,
stores.
so- no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I live in Texas where we focus on education, so you can drink pretty much
Oh.
everywhere. Yeah.
Exactly.
So right.
Yeah, come to Wisconsin, where we're the drunkest state.
Hey.
Nice. All right, let's jump into things here, guys. So the first topic I want to discuss, we're just going to go through like a slew of like headline topics, just interesting things that we've noticed in the last week or maybe throughout the season. And the very first topic I want to jump into here is the impact of the new rules on the MLB season. And we know, we knew these were coming, right? So we know like the bigger bases, the pitch clock, everything that goes along with it, right? So I want to ask you guys, like, as we, I put some numbers down, and I've got the spreadsheets up here. What? I'm trying to pull up one here. Sorry, I was trying to tweet at the same time. So let's start with like offense, right? And so I went in here. And did I not? Crap. Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. So if I'm looking at last year, so if you just compare the first 21 days, now granted, I'm not counting tonight. Today's games are not done, so I didn't count today's stats. But if you look at the first 21 games of 2022 versus the first 21 games of this season, there are some pretty eye-opening stats. Offensively, it is crazy. I mean, just the counting stats alone, right? Home runs, 621 home runs this season already to 492 last year in the same amount of time.
Wow.
Balls are juiced again.
Stolen
half of those
base
are by Tampa Bay. I'm just
Yeah, right. Stolen bases, by the way. And we knew this was coming, but we didn't quite know how drastic of an impact it would be. But this is going to be insane. 395 stolen bases already to 254 last season. We are going to blow away the last however many years. I had not projected how many steals that's going to be over a span of the full season, but I should have done that. I wish I had done that now that I think about it. But that is crazy. The other thing too, right, is I'm looking at even just batting average, and it's not like crazy high, right? But 246 to 231. Now, if you look at the full season of last year, the full season of last year was 243. But look, we know these early months, right? Ballparks are generally colder.
Right.
So all of last season brings in, all of the months where Colorado is just like a complete juggernaut when it comes to offense, right? These ballparks, right, where it's just like everybody can hit everywhere. But the fact that we're already above last year's total pace is just insane. Offense is going to dominate this year. And how do we adjust now that we are, 3 weeks into the season? How do we adjust with these offensive numbers on our fantasy teams? Dap, what do you think?
Use every bench spot on a pitcher. That's basically what it's come down to. I mean, you obviously want to take advantage of the offensive side, but it seems like you cannot find a pitcher that either stays healthy. Obviously, we'll talk about that later, but stays healthy, or B, seems to dominate, because like what you just said, you do have the ones, obviously the guys that are awesome all the time, but even some of the guys that are top tier are getting blown up, and it just seems that you almost have to just kick all the pitching, the pitching categories except for maybe saves or holds, and just hope for the best for the other ones. I mean, it almost feels like you should have as much relief pitching as possible, and then just have meet the minimum stat requirements because the offensive stats are. It feels like everybody's in Colorado. So,
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And so AJ, before you speak, so since you mentioned the pitching, struggling, that was kind of an obvious, that after I talked about the hitting, that the pitching is struggling, right? So just a couple of stats that called out to me immediately was, your eyes want to go to ERA, right? How are these pitchers all doing? Now, this is every pitcher, not just starters.
Right.
4.32 ERA.
Oh my God.
All of last season was 3.9. Early in the year, when hitting is usually down because it's colder and it's harder to hit and the ball doesn't carry, 3.74. We're talking about a 0.6 difference in total ERA. That's just crazy. Strikeout rates are all about the same. Walk rates are roughly the same. Obviously, home run per 9 is up. That's expected after you heard, everything. BABIP is up a little bit. Nothing else really is crazy high, like is much higher except for BABIP, home runs, and then of course that alludes, that becomes ERA is higher. So the offense just being better causes those numbers to go up. So it's all a trick. But yeah, man, I'm with you. Like, I RotoGut on Twitter has talked about, like, how just every pitcher he thought was going to be good was not good. It's just kind of like, and it's happening to a whole bunch of people. And, I kind of wonder, I really, I need to talk to Jason and Nick and tell them they need to take a 5-minute span of their next show, because they on the on deck circle, Nick did this thing this year where he was like, I'm out on all pitchers. I'm going 0 pitcher. He wasn't drafting a starting pitcher till like round 8 or 9 in every single league. And I wonder how it worked. And like, there's been a lot of good late round pitchers that have been really good this year. I mean, we're going to get to one that got hurt, so unfortunately that's what happened. But there's been a lot of later round guys that have been good. But, a bunch of the early round guys, injury aside, have been pretty terrible outside of like Garrett Cole, right? I mean, he's been like the one dominant force up top, it feels like. But AJ, what's your thoughts on all of this with the, how much is like the pitch clock affecting this? Obviously the bigger bases and the disengagements are affecting the stolen bases positively for offense. But what else are your thoughts here with all of this?
Well, first off, I want to hopefully think that my math is right here, since I just corrected you on yours. 3,047-ish stolen bases is what we're looking at here.
Yeah, right. That's correct.
Across the whole season.
You say 3,040?
47. 0.1428.
Damn. All right.
7.
I have, by the way, I have a page up right now to tell you exactly where that would finish in the last however many years. So league by year league totals for stolen bases, 3,040?
3,047.
Okay.
Wait, that's the rate we're going on, because that's not actually how many have happened.
No, that would be the rate.
No.
So that would be.
What you were saying now. Like,
that would be the most since 2013. In 2012, we had 3,229. 2011, we had 3,279, and then it dipped off drastically again after that. For some reason, we had a massive stolen base total in 2012 and 2011.
Probably the last time they changed the base sizes. No, I'm totally making that up.
No. Anyway, thoughts on the rules and how it's impacting fantasy managers and how we adjust. What do you think?
Well, you look at the Cy Young curse, which is now what's happening because Blake Snell sucks balls. That's about all he throws.
He's not been good for a few years, dude.
And they're either outside of the zone or getting smashed out of the park. His ERA is at like 3,047 probably. And Alcantara is sucks this year too. And he was a lot more expensive than Snell, obviously. So that hurts. But yeah, it's definitely hard to see the pitching taking as much of a beating as it has. But the other thing to look at too is with these home runs, there was a stat on WIP yesterday or the day before for the Phillies, and it was like they've hit 42 home runs or whatever it is, and X amount of those home runs have been only like 12 of them or something have been multi-run home runs, and then San Francisco has like 72 home runs, and 40 some of them have been multi-run. So just the disparity there, and it's going back to the pitching and really just situational baseball. If you get guys on, some teams are clearly better at clearing the bases via the home run and scoring runs. But the other jump in this ERA is because of all the scoring we're seeing right now. Obviously, those pitchers aren't getting a longer leash to start the year. Spring training was, whatever, because of the World Baseball Classic cutting into it. So that was shortened. You look at teams maybe that were in the playoffs last year, starting off slower this year. Again, I don't want to harp on the Phillies too much as the resident homer, but their season went a lot longer than probably everybody had figured it would go. And then their off season was shortened because of that. So I feel like there's other teams that kind of fell into the same pattern from the playoffs, or teams that thought they were going to go farther in the playoffs. The Braves, the Dodgers, their seasons got cut short early. So there was a lull there potentially of, hey, we're not feeling this off season yet. We should still be playing and whatever. So, just depression sets in. But yeah, the stolen bases is ridiculous to me. I love seeing it because I kind of targeted steals this year in some of my leagues just for the fact of believing that it had to be better than it's been the past 5-6 years. It's just been abysmal. So, that's the punt category in my mind, almost over, batting average. But most leagues have switched over to OBP or OPS, at least the ones that I've been part of. So I feel like the average punting has kind of gone by the wayside, and it was stolen bases, because you can find cheap steals later, but you'll be able to find cheap steals forever.
Yeah, there's a lot of steals. Dab, you got something to say?
Yeah. So I found this great article on SI.com that came out 3 days ago, and it's talking about the success rate that people are having. Right now, stolen base success rate is almost 80% against starting pitching, 88% against relief pitching, and 86% on 7+ innings. So anything the inning 7th or later. And the other crazy part is runners have been successful at a rate of almost 96%, where last year it was 76%. So if you think about it, right, pitchers obviously don't want a bunch of traffic behind them. And here they are basically having to focus on throwing a pitch, and yet they have runners going, they can't hold them back. I think that part too is a whole new mind shift for them. When you have these minor league pitchers that came in, especially last year, where they had the pitch clock and they had some of these rules that they were changing in AAA and AA.
Yeah, that's a good
I
point.
think they're a little bit more used to it. A lot of these other veterans that have been here for 10+ years, used to doing things a certain way, being hurried. On top of that, having to deal with base runners that they can't control, that they literally spent their entire lifetime being able to do pickoff moves and all those fun things. That's going to mess with you.
Yeah.
100%. And on top of that, them being able to keep advancing, that's going to put them in scoring position. geez, I can't imagine the mindset change.
I have an update. Fernando Tatis' first at bat, he struck out.
We'll get to that in a second. But disappointed. He didn't hit 3 bombs on his first. He still got time.
Yeah, on his first at bat, I expected 3 home runs.
Yeah.
What is he, Dan Ugla? I mean,
Well, so Deb, yeah, you mentioned the pitch clock and like, and or not the pitch clock. You mentioned the fact that like they're not able to control the runners. Obviously, the bigger bases have a part of that too. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I have another question after this, but real quick, do you think MLB went a little too far with adding the bigger bases? Like, is this too much? Do we want to see these like 8 to 7 games all the time, or do we like having these games where not everybody just runs wild? I mean, like, I feel like that commercial with the Mets where like Daniel Vogelbach's like, I'm gonna run. If there's a bigger base, I'm gonna run, and he does. Like. Do we really want to see Daniel Vogelbach being able to steal a base just because he can, because there's nothing that anybody can do about it? Like, that seems kind of crazy.
So if you remember, right, there was that video game Blitz that came out for a while there for football, right? And there was no penalties. It was completely focused on just, the biggest hit possible in football.
It's an arcade game. Yes.
Right, the arcade game, right?
Yes.
And same thing with baseball, right? The big thing was always home runs and, scoring. Nobody really likes those pitchers duels,
fun,
right? But do I want to see that? No, of course not. Because, I mean, frankly, at that point, it becomes, look, it's kind of like arena football. Do I like arena football to watch it?
For all.
Absolutely. But it gets to a point where it's like, that's not really, that's not what I want the NFL to have, right? 50-yard fields and people can run and whatever. There's a bunch of things there that are fun to watch in a vacuum. But it's no longer the sport it was. And
yeah.
I don't want to sound like a purist to be like, oh, these kids, get off my lawn, whatever. But at a certain point, I think you're messing too much. And I think there was a lot of ridiculousness where it's like, the pitchers, there's a lot of like timing mechanisms, right? They're having to come off the bag because something was messed up, or they're using those pickoff throws to kind of settle things, or whatever the case may be. All that's gone, and
the pitch clock is about to be done, and then they just throw it over instead. Like, I don't know what to do. Fuck, I'm gonna throw it over. Like, that happens. I've seen it.
Yeah, have you seen Kershaw's little butt clincher that he did when he saw the pitch clock was going out? He kind of just e-fist a pitch up, and it looks bad, and having such rigidity with it, right? Versus being able to kind of like, okay, you know what, that doesn't make any sense. Let's allow that. The umpires seem a little confused when it comes to let's not even get the sticky substances right now, but there's just so much. Like, some umpires are going to give a little bit more than others.
AJ.
Oh no.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So we're gonna switch.
This reminds me of the first time I was on here. We lost AJ, but I think things are going to settle down. But at the same time, I just hope the MLB doesn't try to do some tinkering thing where it's like, oh, we went too far. Let's do this, and then it just becomes a mess. Well, these guys are professionals.
I almost kind of want them to like back off a little bit. So here, I agree. Right. So this is what I mean by like maybe they went too far, right? And then I'll get to my next question. I think they might have gone a little too far by doing too many rule changes all at the same time. Like, come on, we're both parents. You pick one rule, right? Try to enforce it. See if it works. Then maybe try the second rule. They're doing bigger bags, not less disengagements, and then also the pitch clock all at the same time. And it's just a lot for these guys. Again, what you said, right? These guys that have been in the league for 12, 13, 14 years. Even 8 years would be a lot. Like, these guys, and they went to the minors with all these rules. It's crazy to think about this. So,
well, and just one last thing there, just real quick, right? Like, again, I don't care about the bigger bags, right? A couple inches is not, from physics.
It's really the disengagement in the pitch.
It's the disengagement, and the fact that they put an exact number, right? Now I know exactly that the pitcher can only do this 2 times. Of course I can run crazy at that point. The fact that there's no variable there, right? And I don't know what it would be, but the fact that they limit it exactly, I mean, that if I knew an exact number of like how long it would take for somebody to blitz on me, right, or the exact number of how many times I was allowed to do X or Y.
If you add like huge... 3 Mississippi to the NFL, quarterbacks would absolutely shred everybody. That would be crazy,
right? But having any type of consistency like that, like knowing that number in any professional athlete, that's a huge advantage. And I think that was a huge mistake.
Yeah. So to the pitch clock. I wonder, and this is a little bit of a segue into a topic that we don't have listed on the sheet here, but something that we've all talked about. Everybody has. Is AJ frozen here? Is that what's going on? Let's see.
Yeah, we're having some technical difficulties over here. I won't blow him up. I'll let him tell you when he gets back.
That's fine. Yeah. I just saw some of the messages. Anyway, so. I wonder how much I think the pitch clock honestly has more of an effect on all of this than everything else we've talked about. That's my honest opinion. I don't care about the disengagements. I don't care about the bigger bases. I think the pitch clock is really screwing things up. And I'm not going to lie with you. Like, what is it? 20 seconds? 18? I don't even know what the hell it is. But it's way too short. Like, I've seen too many times where, like, and it just feels like these pitchers are just rushing. They're just like, oh, I gotta get in, gotta get in, gotta go. And they're pitching with 10 seconds left on the clock, and they don't have to. But they're like, anxiety is just like, I would get it too. Like, they're just forcing it, and then batters are they're not able to step out and take a breath after like a close pitch. There was a story, something I saw on Twitter, or like somebody, I heard it on a broadcast last night. A guy like got like a standing ovation because he like came back to his ballpark and freaking got a pitch clock violation because he stepped out of the box, tipped his cap, and then like, come on. We got to have a little bit of leeway on this, right? There's got to be something. There's got to be more ways to get out of the pitch clock, violation than, what there is now. I don't actually enjoy watching these guys just rush at this point. Right. I don't like the 3 hour to 3.5 hour to 4 hour games. Do I like a game being done in an hour and 45 minutes? No, that's like my kid's Little League game. That's boring. I'm sorry, and that's not good baseball. Right. Figure this out, guys. But I also think there's other ramifications from this, and Dap, I think you're going to probably tell me what they are.
Well, first off, it's 15 seconds to pitch with the bases empty.
15, damn, I give him credit.
20 seconds with runners on base, which, of course, we already know that they're not doing a very great job with that either.
Which doesn't matter because they can't do anything.
But I mean, if you've taken a test or if you've seen the NBA, right? Everybody who has a shot clock or sees a timer going down, of course, I don't care how professional you are, that's going to mess with your head. And you're absolutely right. I think there's a ton of rushing. I just don't think that that's going to, be an effective way to go about it. And like you said, the Cody Bellinger thing cracked me up because MLB said the reason we didn't, help him or allow for that delay to occur is because they didn't clear it with us ahead of time for any type of delay that they knew that was coming. First of all, where does spontaneity, right? Where's somebody gets like a third home run and comes out and doffs their cap. I mean, maybe, I don't know if I want somebody pitching during that. I want to pause, enjoy that moment like it's supposed to be.
Baseball is supposed to be that they want it to be part of. They want the fan experience to be better. Let the fan experience be better. Let that type of crap happen. Like, it's such nonsense what they're doing.
And then the umpire said during the Bellinger thing that he didn't know if he had the ability to stop the pitch clock. And again, going back to nobody knows what powers they have, and that is ridiculous.
So sad.
I mean, again,
it's one of botching it again.
Yeah, it's a good idea, but the way they're it's just bad. The way the delivery, I don't like it at all.
Totally is, man. All right, so I think if I can give my 2 cents, because I don't think I have yet, on how to adjust as a fantasy manager with these new rules.
Joe, could you give us our 2 cents for how a fantasy manager can adjust to these new rules, please?
Yes, please. Thank you for asking.
Of course.
So honestly, for me, like I'm not streaming as many pitchers as I once used to.
Really?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Now, if you're playing Colorado away from Colorado, bingo, go after that one because they are horrible. Maybe a little Kansas City Royals action, even though they're getting a little better, but still not great. Reds away from home are a good targeting, a good team to target, but man, you've got to really look at the metrics of your pitcher. You've really got to see if they can, get ground balls and strikeouts, in my opinion. That's the big thing. If they allow a lot of pop-ups, you might get burned. So, like, you got to be careful there. But honestly, like, if you want to stream some hitters, let's go for it. That's where we're at now. We're back to streaming hitters. This was like 10 years ago action. This is crazy. So it's just a different mindset for a lot of people who have been, some people are new to fantasy baseball within the last couple of years. It's a different mindset. You cannot just rock out any pitcher you want at this point and just think that they're going to give you a quality start, because it's not going to happen anymore. Offense is back. Maybe it's the new rules. Maybe they're juicing the ball. Maybe they're doing both. I actually I wouldn't doubt they were doing both, honestly. But let's move on here to a guy that our producer Mike mentioned. Fernando Tatis has returned to Major League Baseball after his PED suspension. This guy absolutely mashed the ball in the minors. These last couple weeks as he was filling out his suspension here. He had a 3 home run game. That's where that little joke came from. I mean, just absolutely crushed it.
Right.
But he hasn't played in the majors for a full season plus. Right. He was an absolute number 1 player in baseball for at least fantasy, maybe even more before that. What do you think he's going to actually return to be? Because he's not available in any league. I'd be shocked if he was.
Of course, right.
So he was drafted in some leagues very early, knowing he was going to be back on April 20th. What do you think we are going to get from him the rest of the year?
If you would have, I'm sorry. I was asked about this during the offseason, and I said a big fat, I don't know. And it's not because of why, you typically see somebody with a long layoff. It's because obviously the PEDs, right? I mean, you don't know to what degree the PEDs were helping, right? And then of course he goes into the AAA and I think he hit like 107 home runs one game. Seven
home runs, by the way. A 515 average.
What? Obviously a quad A player, right? It's just ridiculous. God. But so he goes in. Look, there's going to be adjustment because the pitch clock and all those things. Yes, I get it. He had it in AAA and he was able to kind of get acclimated to that. But we just talked about that, right? There's some other things going on there. However, because the pitching's so awful, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Because we just talked about this, right? The pitching is so terrible. He might just be like, "This is same as AAA. Let me just go crazy." I don't know. I would not have drafted him as high as I saw him. Like he was going second round.
He was
in some of my last.
No way.
But there's no way I'm touching him there. But of course, it's Tatis. The other piece here that's
batting lead off right away, by the way, which is just insane in my opinion. I mean, I get the talent, but yeah, so he's 0 for 2 with 1 strikeout so far. And his pitcher is Brian Nelson. So not a juggernaut who has allowed 4 runs already. Just none to Tatis. Bogarts has the home run for the day.
Yeah, I think he's going to be fine. I think if there's any other type of clubhouse too, I think they might be worried. But that clubhouse is deep with a lot. He's got Machado. He's obviously got Soto. He's got Bogarts.
Yeah.
And I mean, this,
even.
yeah, there's just so many, so many like veterans in that lineup that I'm not worried at all with him. That price tag in the offseason, I just wasn't touching it.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I mean, we're gonna, maybe we're gonna look back and go, damn, we probably should have done it.
Right.
When you look back at a season, right? Like if you were to, Trout, right? If he were to if you knew, right, he would only miss a month in the middle of June, right? Or a few weeks in the middle of June. You'd probably be like, oh, he's still first, second round. But he drops because you never know, right? He's missed 3 months the last couple of seasons. So it's been bad. So with Tatis, you get the it wasn't just the suspension. It was he had the shoulder injury then the wrist, and then it was everything else on top of it. And I was just kind of like, I'm out. I can't. I'm not taking that risk early on. I'm going to take somebody who I will guarantee, unless he gets injured, will perform. But yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Tatis, as long as he is healthy, he's going to perform very, very well. He always has, and I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. And yeah, first game back, maybe there's going to be a little jitters here right now, but
sure.
Yeah, the minor league stats are just hilarious to look at here with him.
But from a pure baseball,
teammate.
Sorry. I was just going to say, from a pure baseball fan perspective, I want to watch all of Tatis's at-bats. But sorry,
I want to see all the shenanigans he does too.
Yes,
it does entertain me. Yep. His teammate, though, by the way, and maybe it'll get better now that Tatis is back and batting apparently in front of him. Juan Soto. Yeah, he's got 4 bombs, 12 runs. Those sound good. 9 RBI even. That's okay. He's even got a stolen base. 194 average?
Right.
What in the living hell is going on? Now, I will say this. We all know Juan Soto is an OBP master.
Sure.
His OBP is back up at 372, but it's still way below what we all expect.
Right.
Look, when he moved to San Diego last year, like he was bad with Washington last year, in comparison for Juan Soto's sake, right?
Of course, right.
Then he moved to San Diego, and it was way worse. Way worse.
Right.
Now we're seeing even worse. What do we do with him? Like, what do you do with Juan Soto?
Well, first off, you paid a first-round pick for him, right? So you're not going to just ditch him. But these numbers are really crazy. I mean, he went 0 for 21 for a homestand. And then on top of that, here's the interesting part, right? We have enough games now. It's not just the beginning of this season, but we have enough games. We have 70 games to the Padres. Yeah. Sorry, a little bit more now, but a couple days ago when I wrote this down, it was 218, 377, and 383 is triple slash line and 9 home runs. Now, with the 565 games of Washington, right, that's a lot of games, but I just wanted to hit the slash numbers, right? 291, 427, and 538. Again, OBP master, I'm not so much worried about that part, but God, 80 points on the batting average and almost 200 points on slugging. Wow. You wonder about that $440 million contract that he had with the Nationals that, of course, got leaked. And he made a comment, I think, was it a couple days ago, that he said that was one of the reasons why he stopped, talking about it. Stopped talking to the Nationals because he got really mad about that. But is he going to be able to sniff those kind of numbers, or is he going to just expect that because of his name cachet unless he really turns things around? I don't know. I mean, from fantasy perspective, obviously, $400 million, whatever. That's not my problem. It's not in my.
Dude, is he the Kenny Galladay of freaking fantasy baseball? Like, remember when Kenny Galladay signed that massive contract with the Giants? Yeah. It was like, oh, brother, here we go. Like, this is going to be big time. And then it was just like, I'm good. I got paid. We good. Yep. And the problem is baseball contracts are guaranteed, so it's even worse. These football, the Giants were like, a couple of seasons later, they were like, have fun.
Yeah.
Peace.
We're good. I don't know, man. Is that he's coming up with some other, I wouldn't say other excuses, but, or the reporters were kind of, I guess, throwing him softballs out there that he's, taking. And because he's saying now that, he's Alden Gonzalez tweeted out a couple days ago that he was lamenting Soto was lamenting the fact that there's no pitch clock anymore, and he can't play mind games with the pitchers anymore. When I start seeing people kind of reaching for those types of things, I think the pitch clock probably is messing with them. But I'm just like, dude, just say that you're working on it or whatever. Stop trying to throw those things out there.
Okay, the pitch clock could be messing with you, but the fact that you were struggling once you got to San Diego last year already, not good, guys. Washington, and I don't know the numbers in front of me. I don't have them, but Washington is a much better hitting park than San Diego. Is literally one of the worst hitting parks in baseball. Of course,
yeah, absolutely.
So, do we just think maybe that has something to do with it? And I wonder, the years that he was in Washington, they were a good team. Now San Diego's a good team too, right? Yeah, but the rest of the NL East at that point when he was there really wasn't good. Washington just sort of dominated the division. The Mets weren't very good. Marlins clearly were never good. Right. Phillies were kind of off and on, but not typically. I wonder if it's just now he's got to play the Dodgers a lot more. San Francisco's always stingy, right? Is a good word, I guess. Arizona is not great, but whatever. And then Colorado's Colorado, but we gotta worry about that competition all the time. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. It's weird with him. I bought back into him in a couple of best balls pretty early. I thought in all season he's gonna get over that contract hump, and we saw it with Mookie Betts, when he first went to the Dodgers, he was terrible at first. And then it was all of a sudden oh, hey, I remember how to play baseball. I don't care about the contract. I don't care about the fans or the area. I thought maybe Juan Soto would be able to do the same thing, and it doesn't feel like that. So
what telling stat that lets me believe that things are going to be okay, but, obviously needs to change, is that he's seen a lot more pitches in the strike zone. Maybe it's because pitchers are either, again, bad pitching, or the fact that, they're trying to challenge him more because they're not fearful of him, but he's not swinging at more pitches in the strike zone. So, that's fixable, especially for an all-star like him. So that makes me feel very good about his chances of improving. And of course it's Soto. But am I worried? Yeah, I'm at probably 3 on a 10 scale. But I definitely am reaching out to see if I get a discount anywhere in the league. If I can get a discount from any player that, is in my league that is thinking, oh, God, this is not what I drafted, maybe throw, player at him or two. Oof.
A 70-plus game sample size of him struggling, bus. And even, honestly, his Washington part of the season last season was not first-round value. So I would want a discount to trade for him, a pretty big discount, honestly.
Okay, so then tell me what a 1-to-1 in your mind would be a discount. Oh my gosh,
that's impossible.
Oh no, I just want to throw it out there. So if you had, let's say, Mookie Betts, would you trade him 1-to-1? If you had Mookie Betts, would you trade him 1-to-1 if somebody offered you Soto for Mookie Betts?
No, I would keep Betts at that point.
Okay. Would you trade? Would you accept Soto for Bregman?
Yeah, probably only because, as we're gonna get to, Bregman's not doing so hot either.
Well, right.
So that's not helpful. But
Jazz Chisholm then.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. I just wanted to see what the discount was. I just wanted to see what that level was. Okay.
I think I'd be trading Chisholm.
Oh yeah. I would trade him in a heartbeat, but I just wanted to see where you were.
Yeah. Betts. No. Betts is a stud still. Right. I'm good there. But yeah, that's a tough one. All right. Next up here, let's move over to the Tampa Bay Rays. Jeffrey Springs. Jeffrey Springs has died. I'm going to use the DAP Scout mottos here. AJ's trying to come back. Do we got you, AJ? Can you say hi?
Springs has not sprung or sprung an ACL leak or something along those lines.
Wow. Perfect timing by AJ.
I like the Springs has died.
UCL, sorry.
That was Dap Scouts. I'm gonna give it to Dap on that one. So, I'll let AJ kind of breathe a little bit and figure out if he's back for real. And Dap, what's your thoughts? Obviously, we figured out yesterday.
I'm fine.
Or was it just today that he is now officially on the IL, done for the year, through probably the middle of the next year. It's a 31-year-old pitcher now that, was really figuring things out, and now unfortunately going to have to get Tommy John. This is more of a dynasty call, really.
Right,
so, and this is this is honestly your wheelhouse. What do you do with a guy like Jeffrey Springs if you have him on your roster?
So you said he's 33, right? So we're looking at...
Is he 33? I thought he was 31.
31, I'm sorry, 31. So you're looking at, 32-ish, late 32, when he's going to be back up, to full...
He's 30 in 7 months. Sorry, so almost.
Oh, wow.
31.
Okay. So you always do about 18 months, right, for them to be hopefully back to where they're trusting their stuff. I mean, yes, it's everybody recovers differently, but typically it's about 18 months because then when they come back, it's reduced workload, and you don't really want to have that first Tommy John back in Dynasty. Man, the turnaround that has occurred in the last season and a half, 2 seasons of Springs going from kind of a great asset, it's a good asset to a great asset in Dynasty it felt like it was overnight, and I was buying on Springs. I have him on way too many leagues.
Yeah, me too.
This is why I'm hurting.
You and me included, man. You and me on the same team. Dynasty.
Yeah.
Did we get a trade offer for him earlier this year? And we're like, nah, we're good.
No. Springs
now we wish we had done it, right?
Right. But I think it's one of those things like with any injury, right? You want to see what you get for him, but you're probably going to get maybe a penny on the dollar at most. Man. It might just be best to hold on to him. It could go either way. I am a bigger fan of not trying to sell low when at all possible. So if I have the DL slot, especially in Dynasty, I want to keep them. It hurt even in the season long leagues to hit release just because I had to in some of those where I only had like 4 DL spots. I keep saying DL IL spots. But
but a redraft. So I mean, you can't keep him, so he's an automatic cut there. In Dynasty, to me, and I agree with you, I'm holding him as long as I possibly can, because right now his value is bottom dollar. Right. He's a penny, 2 cents on the dollar. The closer he gets to a return, that's when you sell, in my opinion, because when he does return, he's going to be close to 32, 33 years old. Right. And yes, can pitchers go 34, 35, 36, 37 years old? Sure. Jeffrey Springs is the guy who didn't really pop until he was, 29? So can I expect him to, be awesome until he's 37? No. The guys that go that long are the Max Scherzers, the Clayton Kershaws, those types of guys. I'm not relying. I was hoping to rely on Springs for 2.5 seasons and then being like, peace, I'm going to get some younger dude from you in my Dynasty League because somebody wants to win with you if I was having to rebuild with him. That's what I was hoping for. But, yeah, it's a shame because he was pitching lights out. And so that's a pretty rough run. AJ, you got the next one here, and it is Light the Taj Mahal.
I love it.
Taj Bradley dominates again. Tampa Bay Rays. The guy who basically has now replaced Jeffrey Springs. Yeah. What's your thoughts on him the rest of the year?
I never knew who he was until after.
Oh, no.
28.
So I should not have asked you that week.
And
so Dap, you want to answer that one?
No. I know who he is now, but I went and totally missed the boat. I'm like, okay, yeah, I needed to add this guy like 2 weeks ago at least, or anybody in Tampa Bay's arsenal. I feel like it's just their pitching is absolutely ridiculous.
It's always been. That's why Jeffrey Springs is good now.
Yeah, true. But yeah, Bradley looks real strong, and I think he can keep it up. He could become an easy drop, if he has one bad blowout game. But with what he's done so far, I'm pretty sure that people need to know his name at this point.
Yeah, no, I mean he's been lights out. Dap, I know you've mentioned his name a bunch of times in our dynasty. We've been trying to trade with Jay a few times for him. He threw his Garrett Stone instead, which was a good complimentary, but he wouldn't get rid of Taj, which looks like it was a smart decision on his point. But this guy has been lights out, almost even better than he was in the minors, which is kind of insane when you really think about it. The competition he has faced so far in the majors hasn't been crazy. We're talking about Cincy, and then the first game was Boston. Actually, their offense is pretty solid, right?
Right.
So kind of a mixed bag offense wise, but just 17 strikeouts in 10 innings already. That's just insane. 0.97 ERA. Clearly, that's not going to keep up. But I want to ask you, what do you do with a guy like this in a redraft league where innings will be limited, and it's Tampa Bay, so they're going to tinker and move and use an opener, just to screw with things. That's just what Tampa does. So if for some reason he is still out there in your leagues, which I doubt he is, but would you trade for him one, and if he is somehow out there in your leagues, would you blow a bunch of fab on him just knowing you're going to get stellar stats when he's out there?
Well, I mean, I think at a certain point, what's the point of fab if you can't get something like a sure thing? If he's out there, my God, yes, I would absolutely destroy 30% of my fab to get Taj Bradley. And like we just talked about, pitching is terrible right now, or it's kind of up in the air. Getting any type of starter, and the thing is, I can't worry about the innings limit or tomorrow. If I get 120 innings, and you're telling me that I'm going to get,
I don't know if he'll do that though, dude.
Well,
you think about his innings, his most innings in any single year was he went actually in 2022 he went
133, and then before 133.
Yeah.
And then in 2021 he did 103, and so they do
he might go 160.
So
that's pretty good actually. I didn't realize he had gone that far.
Typically, it's about 10%, 20%. Is kind of the safe range. So 150 innings. Look,
and
even
Tampa
if I got
will figure out how to finagle that.
Right. Even if I got 130 innings, right? Let's go back to what it was. If I got 130 innings and you give me double-digit wins plus a 3-ish ERA, I'm all day. That's worth it.
Knowing that, I wish I had gone harder on him in NFBC this last weekend.
Yeah.
Damn you, Dave Eddy, for talking me out of him.
Dave Eddy hates all pitchers. So
he does. But then he recommended Kyle Freeland, jerk. Not that I picked him up, but it's just like, the hell. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Next up here, Anthony Volpe leading off. Hello. This is something new here, and I was really shocked to see this because he's struggled on the year for sure. He had he had a below 200 average to start the year. One home run. He had a bunch of steals, and I don't mean Dab. You and I talked about this before, on that opening day show. Him batting ninth made no sense. If you're going to bring him up, that's not where he belonged in the lineup. Right. He needs at bats. He needs to be a table setter. He needs to be involved in the core of the offense. If you're going to bring a guy up like that, but they batted him ninth. Anyway, I'm going to give Mike Curlin credit for this because I'm stealing all these stats from him. Anthony Volpe, when batting first in the lineup, 5 games, 22 plate appearances. 18.2% walk rate, 18.2% K rate. Awesome. 278 batting average, 909 OPS, 401 WOBA, 162 WRC plus. It has led off 3 straight in 5 of the last 7. Now this was as of yesterday, so the Yankees played today. I don't know. I haven't looked it up yet.
They won.
But did he lead off?
Yeah, he did.
Yes.
So, again, just more to the fact that this is his position to lose.
Right.
AJ, do you have any thoughts on Volpe now leading off?
I mean, it makes sense because I feel like of all the prospects and everything, he's had the most fanfare and just so much hype coming in, and he's backed it up for the most part. And I think this is just another notch in that hype belt. But I agree, he should not have been starting way down in the lineup. He should have been higher, and I love seeing him at 1. I think this just bodes so much better for fantasy. It's going to get him on average, at least an extra at bat in most games.
Yeah.
And especially if the games where these pitchers continue to suck, and give up a ton of runs, he's going to continue to get more and more at bats.
Well, and speaking of that, he didn't get a hit today, but he got 2 walks. He did strike out twice, so he's going right back into his even split for strikeouts and walks.
Yeah,
but he scored a run. So right there, because he was behind, ahead of Judge and Rizzo and Torres and those types of guys, he got a run just because he's there. If he was at the bottom, probably doesn't score.
He's not getting that unless there's random long innings where, everybody's kind of hitting. But this is where he needs to be at the top of this lineup. This is where he's going to be the most productive in helping them get these runs. It's going to build his, OBP if he continues to walk and get on base. Hopefully the strikeouts turn more into hits. So I definitely like him at the top of the lineup.
I agree. Dab, you got anything else to add to that real quick?
I think that there's a great article in The Athletic by Chris Kirschner where they talked to the Yankees hitting coach, Dylan Lawson. And they said one of the biggest reasons that, Volpe was having issues is he said in the spring, you've seen about 55% strikes because, again, spring training, you're trying to just get those pitches over and kind of loosen up your arm. And now he's seen under 50% and just kind of swinging more and understanding when to swing was kind of a bigger deal there. And I think that's a very kind of important change from spring training to obviously now, and obviously then the mind shift there as well. But I'm really impressed. And I think most importantly, like you said, he just needs to get on base because the guys behind him are going to hit him across.
Yeah.
So if he can keep that, if that OBP is above 300, then, the Yankees are going to be super happy.
Yeah, I mean, when he's batting ninth, you think, okay, you just got to get on base because then it's the 1, 2, 3, 4. But the one they had there before, they weren't putting Judge at 1 earlier in the season. It was always like LeMahieu, and they were like, what the hell are they doing? LeMahieu's not that guy. LeMahieu needed to be moved back down the lineup a long time ago. So, and they did it last year, right?
Yeah.
They finally went, LeMahieu, go down there. Judge, we're going to bat you 1, which didn't make any sense. He still, mashed 63 home runs, whatever the hell it was. So, all right, moving on here. We got Bregman on ice, man. Oh, this dude's been brutal this year. And, I know that, the Astros have had their injuries, but again, dude, what do we do with a guy like Bregman who I've never been a huge fan of Bregman as far as fantasy, but he was kind of like this in this weird range of forgotten land for third baseman. So it was like, I mean, if I can get a guy who's going to bat, 260 and maybe give me 20 home runs as a third baseman, if I can't grab one of the studs early on, right? The Machados and J-Rams and all those guys, if I can get a guy like that who I feel like I can trust 7 rounds later, if not more, like, I'm going to do it. But, man, he has just destroyed me. 2 bombs, 216 average. I don't know what's going on here. Like, can anybody tell me? Give me some good news for Bregman to tell me that this is not going to happen the rest of the season? Because this is just
one of the things, right, that they talked about with Bregman was that he fractured his left index finger in Game 6 of the World Series. So this is forever ago. And they said, this injury is not going to keep him from playing World Baseball Classic. That's the only thing I can think of, is that there's some type of like lingering effect of that or something else. I'm literally grasping at those types of straws with Bregman, to just be honest with you, because if you look at his Baseball Savant page, right, it's a lot of red, except for 2 kind of important areas: hard hit percentage, which you expect from Bregman, and max exit velocity, super blue. I mean, like, Smurf blue. But
max exit velocity is not a big deal to me. It's
well, I'm just talking about it for a guy who mashes typically.
Yeah.
If we're talking about Volpe, then yeah, no problem. Yeah, max exit velocity, not so worried about. But for a guy who hits the ball hard, typically, I'm not. He's spraying the ball where he needs to hit it. I mean, I think it's health and time with Bregman. I think if he stays healthy, but.
BABIP is at 230. I'm hoping that bounces back. Because I'm looking at all the other stats around it, and OBP's right there. He's walking the same. He's striking out the same clip. Slugging's obviously down. That's because he's not getting on base. Even honestly, his soft contact rate is down, but his medium rate is up. But his hard hit rate is down, as you just alluded to. Or mentioned. So,
I'm
holding out hope. It's just
right.
It is rough, man.
He's hitting barrels at the same rate as last year and the year before. He's expected slugging percentage is actually higher, about 40% from the last 2 years. There's a lot of good here in the thing, but again, that max exit velocity, just to give you an idea, right, is 4 notches lower than it was last year. And 2 from the year before. That just kind of
would he be somebody that you would like you mentioned with Soto? Would he be somebody that you'd be like dangling out, be like, hey, what do you want for Bregman?
I think there's one important piece about Bregman. He plays for the Astros.
They score a ton of runs.
They score a ton of runs.
Yes, that too. I mean, and Altuve is going to be back in mid-June.
Right.
That's going to help a ton. I think
he's still getting on base, 340, right? 341. Bregman's still getting on base. So, I mean, yes, he's not hitting what you want. He's not hitting the bombs.
But I wonder if Altuve not being there is making that much of a difference. I wonder.
Well, you've got Altuve and you lose Yuri Gurriel and replace him with a very underperforming, now I'm blanking on his name, Jose Abreu. So,
whoa, are you insulting the Abreu?
I'm not insulting him. I'm just spitting out facts. That
yes, it's weird.
Trash right now.
It's weird you're spitting out facts and you weren't insulting Abreu. I was just ready for an insult and I was ready to fight.
Abreu's been bad. I kind of thought him moving to Houston would be a good thing for him, but
over that. And
nope.
Not very happy with the return so far.
I thankfully swung and missed on all of the Abreu tries that I got, and it's looking to be a good thing.
Yeah, so. I think Bregman will bounce back. I'm not overly worried about him right now, but yeah, I mean that lineup's got to get healthy. It's got to be the lineup that we know it to be, and then I think he'll be fine.
Yep. All right. So let's move over here to the Boston Red Sox and Bello below expectations. Dap. Dap, these are all yours. I'm not taking credit for anything. These are all Dap's. Brayan Bello. Man, he
is it Brian or Brayan?
Brayan.
Okay.
You might be
Okay.
right. Yeah.
I don't know. Go ahead.
Brayan Bello. He dude, he crushed minor leagues.
Yep.
His first few starts there. I was excited to get him back and actually threw him in my NFBC lineup. He had a 2-start week, and I was like, let's just do it. Damn. This absolutely got smashed. I mean, he had a bunch of strikeouts in 2 innings. 5 and 2 2 2/3.
Same amount of earned runs.
Exactly. Thanks, AJ.
I mean,
damn, dude.
This guy's a stud. You get ratios like that.
I didn't say he was a stud. I was saying I was excited, and apparently I shouldn't have been. So I don't know. Dap.
Nope.
What do we do with him going forward? We just dropping him, waiting to see him, holding him. You know, think about your normal 12 team.
Yeah, no.
7 bench league, whatever it is.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not seeing anything positive, right? Like his location's kind of a mess. He's giving up way too much hard contact, and he just
lobs him over to the plate, dude. He really does.
I mean, like you said, the only 2 kind of positives here are he's not walking people, but then again, you're not walking people because they're killing the ball, right? You don't have anybody to walk. I keep waiting for that. Seems that every pitcher, at least good pitchers, right, has that amazing game of 8 strikeouts and 1 hit. And I keep waiting for that game to either A, be able to sell them finally, or B, that feels some optimism. It's bad right now. There's not anything to kind of be excited about. When you look at even kind of his heat map of where he's kind of putting stuff, it's all over the place, and I'm not sure if it's on purpose or he just has no control over any of these pitches. Again, I know he's not walking anybody, but I mean, these numbers are just nuts, and it's not sustainable, right? Expected slugging percentage is over 400. Expecting on base percentage, the weighted is 550. It's nuts. So I mean, this is T-ball numbers. And he's a better pitcher. He's shown better pitch, being a better pitcher than this.
But so has he? I mean, he's shown better in the minors. He has not shown better in the majors. Not much better in the majors. That's the problem.
No, his track record in the majors is terrible. There's no getting around it now. And he's had enough time in the majors to kind of have some type of track record, and it's terrible. I hope this doesn't turn into he's a great 4A type pitcher. He might be a great bullpen arm.
Maybe that's what I was gonna say. He might get shoved to the bullpen.
But I mean, with the pitching landscape being as terrible as it is right now, I'm grasping at straws. I still have Bello on a lot of benches, but I have not started him at all in almost all my leagues. So I think I had the first start. I was like, put him in the first start. After he got shelled, I don't think I've started him again. But I just don't know if I can hit drop. In season long. In Dynasty, I'm keeping him. He still has the name.
I've dropped him in 1. I've kept him in a few, but it's not easy. AJ, next up here, we got Madison Bumgarner after getting absolutely smoked. I mean, it was time.
Just in time.
Finally DFA'd. Dap's got some thoughts on this too, I know for sure, but obviously Mad Bum's gone off rosters. Brandon Pfaadt time, right? Maybe.
I mean, again, Mad Bum got smoked. Time to roll the fatty
tried
blunt.
to yell at some people for not getting strike calls, which made no sense.
What do we want to do here? Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Brandon Pfaadt fan, and that's PFAN. he's got the stuff. You know, he's been okay so far in in the minors. I think he's got like a 3.63 ERA, but the big thing here is that he's on the same pitching schedule as Mad Bum.
Close
Obviously,
to it.
that could change, but I don't know if he's necessarily going to get the call right away. I think they're going to see what they have. They're going to keep him down for now, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him up after a start or two, with whoever they plug and play. So that's the obvious interest is seeing what their main man can do. Trying to pull up his thing here.
Well, yeah. So we actually do know who's coming up.
He was
Mr. Henry.
Tommy Henry is going to be coming up in his place because, like you said, he's a little off schedule.
Right.
So Pfaadt can't come up yet. I think that's what we're hoping is the reason why Pfaadt's not coming up, but maybe it's not the reason. But Dap, you've got your thoughts on Brandon Pfaadt here, and why I think he absolutely should be the guy. And do you think people should be picking him up now and just stashing him for a week or two?
Absolutely. 100%. If you weren't, I grabbed him in almost all my season-long leagues as one of the last picks. I expected him.
Drop him or add him for an offensive player or a pitching player.
Well, let me bring up some important things that AJ kind of alluded to, because AJ always kind of is a great assist for me as well. So he's pitching in one of the most hitter-friendly environments in AAA right now. I mean, we're talking where some of the best pitchers either skipped that league entirely because they don't want to get decimated, or other pitchers that just got destroyed. His ERA last year got better when he went from AA to AAA, which is insane. He had, I think, the third best strikeout rate as well. So because he was able to go there, improve on his ERA, that just lets you know that this guy can pretty much pitch anywhere. That's the first thing. That's pretty fat.
Even Colorado?
No. He's pitching in Arizona, which is even better, right?
Second best.
Right. So that's another fat fact. I like that fat fact. Copyright. There you go. Yeah, that's the other big thing. But
PFACT.
But the other thing is
the 300. You mentioned about the strikeouts, by the way. I just want to back you up on that. 395 strikeouts to 64 walks in his entire minor league career in 312 innings. Those numbers are absolutely crazy.
Yeah. And like I've been telling you, right? Like that's one of the things. And the thing is, he doesn't just strike people from calls, right? He's getting swinging strikes. Even the bad starts that he's had, rough starts, again, hitters, environments, right? He has tons of swing and misses on his stuff. And frankly, I mean, he's just an amazing pitcher. He's been on my roster in Dynasty for a long time because I love the name. I mean, there's so many puns you can make with a team name. Right. But, and then on his last start, we talk about that ERA, but let's just talk about his last start. April 8th start. He went 4.2 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 2 walks, and then 5 Ks. I mean, that's just a fat line, right? That's just his normal thing. It's about 5, 6 enemy pitches, 5 to 6 strikeouts, and, almost no walks. Please sign me up. He's coming up, whether it's this week, next week, he's coming up. There's just Arizona needs the help, regardless of Bumgarner. Henry's there. And what I've read and what we talked about pre-show is that it looks like, it's just kind of a temporary fill-in. Even if he does a no-hitter, they're going to find room for Pfaadt. There's absolutely no reason to keep him down.
You would think so. Real quick, just before we move on to the next topic. So you're a big fan of Brandon Pfaadt. And you're saying all these phenomenal things about him, and I wonder though, like Grayson Rodriguez is somebody that I think about. Like he was not the he was not as highly touted as a prospect as Grayson Rodriguez.
Right.
Do you agree with that? And if not, why?
Grayson Rodriguez had the pedigree from, I mean, he was in the top 100 prospects, top 40 prospects, because it was considered the best starting pitching prospect in the minors, hands down, or, maybe 1A.
I mean, he's
sometimes
been atrocious, by the way.
Right. No, I hear you.
He's lost his curve or change. Is that what it is?
He's lost his feel for his pitch. I mean, frankly.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that goes into that, right? I mean, we've seen a lot of pitching prospects, which is why in general, I stay away from pitching prospects almost
until
80-20, right? And you've known this for a while, that I'm almost 80%.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard this from a lot of Dynasty players.
Right. But
you and Dave and Jason and Nick, everybody's like, pitching prospects, nah. Get off of them. Draft hitting.
Right.
Or
but I think
get hitting, go find pitching.
Right. But I think Pfaadt is a little bit different because of the environment he's been successful in. Shows me a little bit differently than Grayson Rodriguez, who was, just throwing bowling balls and just looked like he was amazing. He was going to be just another one of these young studs. I couldn't find kind of that underlying. I'm not a good enough expert to find those underlying issues when he was in the minors. That, on the other hand, I've been looking for a while, and especially when I saw that ERA drop last year, when he played a bunch of games in that hitters-friendly environment in AAA. I can't express this enough. He changed some of his pitching, like the way his pitch selection and things of that nature. And that just tells me that somebody is thinking ahead of time. They're not just throwing the ball, and they're really kind of being more selective, which is all obviously going to help them with major league pitching. Major league hitters. So I think that is going to be the deciding point. I think he's faced more kind of a hurdle environment that made him change things up than Grayson Rodriguez did. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. That's something randomly I thought about. Last player we're going to talk about here before we let Dap have the floor here for a couple minutes. Hopefully only a couple minutes.
Sure.
AJ, I'm going to let you have this one here. Jo Adell. Is he finally ready? This mofo hit a home run in 6 straight games in the minors this past week. He's crushing the ball. Do you believe, I cannot fathom that the Angels are going to keep him in the minors performing like this for much longer. Because how could you do that? But whenever he has gotten the chance, it is just fizzled out and fairly fast. Do you think he's one of these, as Dap has said before, quad A players? Which, it's not the first time I've heard that. Or do you think he might have finally figured something out? And granted, he is still only 24, so sometimes it takes a little while for guys. What do you believe in here, AJ?
Yeah, Adell is someone that, I was watching early on, and I did have him back in the day in some dynasty leagues, and had really high hopes for him, which
a lot
I'm sure
did.
Everybody did.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
But I feel like I jumped off the train, hopefully, sooner than other people did. But I'm ready to jump back on it. He was kind of always that 1 foot on the platform guy, and just waiting to jump into the, whatever the car with all the hay, and the one that all the bums jump into. But dude, I mean, you can't really go wrong with the average. I mean,
we don't know that. Just don't worry about it.
Exactly. Just let me talk, and then you can take over. All right.
I am.
You had your chance with all the technical difficulties, so you're welcome. At least I came back this time. Anyway.
Touche.
We had a bet, and I lost
on myself. I was debating.
I was
ready.
Kidding.
So what would you have won there, Joe? Because I'm sure he's got stockpiles of free Tito's bottles that he's already mailing you. So
can't be the little one with your tears in it.
They taste so
My
good.
tears. Wouldn't be my tears because I don't drink vodka.
They're the depths tears.
Oh, yes. Anyway, average has always been pretty steady, at least at the higher levels. And then, really throughout his minors. I still am on the guy after letting him go and keeping him kind of in the periphery there. The Angels are pretty much a dumpster fire anyways. So what do they have to lose by bringing him up, trying it again, and hoping that this time he catches fire? I think he can. He's got the tools to do it. He's been pretty solid so far. 17 runs off of 19 hits. Now he's got only 5 doubles, but 8 homers. All right, and then he's still striking out at a pretty high clip. But
he's walking a lot more. That's one of the other things that gets me is like he's walking a ton, even more than he ever has in the minors. So like maybe something's clicking for him. I don't know.
Yeah,
I agree with you, AJ.
His OBP is over 400 now. It's never really.
I agree with you. I kind of think I want to give this guy a chance. At this point, he wasn't drafted in any leagues unless you have like a 40-man roster.
Yeah.
So if I can drop some schmuck off the bottom of my roster and pick up Jo Adell and see if he can, figure things out, I'm okay with that. But I'm not dropping anybody that's like consistently contributing to my team. If I got somebody who's like always on my bench and I'm just hoping it's going to work out, fine. And lots of us have that right now. So, that
no,
I want to give you your time.
Okay.
We are going to give your minority report. Your
minor report.
Itty, yeah.
Report.
Yeah. Love it.
So this is Dap's time to give us a couple players that we should all be looking out for in the minors to make a name for themselves here pretty soon.
Wait.
Uh-oh.
Were you going to bring up the guy that's in the private chat?
No, I thought we were going to talk about him, but it's fine.
I was thinking, how can I burn you with an Oakland reference? But this is not really a burn because
Mason Miller's up.
Everybody
should be going after it. Everybody's already got him already in leagues that matter. All
right, so the premiere of the DAP Scout Minor-ity report. First off, just in case you haven't seen the Minority Report, it's one of my favorite movies ever with Matt Damon, and I just want to tell you that if Matt Damon ever does a sequel to Minority Report, Majority Report, I think I would watch that one too. So just for all those people out there, Matt Damon fans, Minority Report.
He's making fun of me because I told him, I said, wait, what's that? He said, I want to do a minor report. And wait, what's that movie by Matt Damon? 2002. Screw off, Dap.
You said, what's that movie by Matt Damon with the report name in it? And I was like, I don't know, Minority Report. You're like, yeah, that one. I'm like, you mean with Tom Cruise? You're like, whatever.
wait, yeah. What did I say to you? I said the movie with that guy that has the word report in it. I had no idea. Yeah.
So there's a lot of names.
Let's finish this up.
So there's a lot of names that we could be picking out here, right? Evan Carter's killing it as a Texas Ranger, but he's probably still a year away. But if you want to talk about that guy who's going to be top 5 prospect here very shortly, Evan Carter's definitely at the top. Junior Caminero. There's a ton of names we could have. But because pitching is such a dark spot right now, I really wanted to highlight 2 pitchers that most likely will be up this year. Andrew Abbott. Why are we highlighting this guy? Because frankly, he's leading everywhere with strikeouts. He's had not 1, but 2 11 strikeout games, and he's just killing it with his 3rd double-digit K game. So my other favorite part about Andrew Abbott, other than the fact that he plays for the Reds, he's a left-hander, so left-handers are always good, is that he's had 47 outs this season, And of those 47, 36 of them are via strikeouts. I got that off the Baseball America prospect report, and that just blows my mind. So Andrew Abbott, definitely somebody I would be targeting everywhere, and I expect him up this year, not in the first couple months, but definitely is going to be coming up this year and somebody to be targeting in your dynasty leagues. And again, he's at the top of the list. Andrew Abbott, 2 A's. Come on. The other guy, he's been around for a while. Definitely, finally, I think he's finally hitting some top prospect lists, but Logan Allen. Now, here was a problem with me, and I'm going to admit something to all of you out there. Cleveland Indians hate me. They had 2 Logan Allens for the longest time. And in multiple leagues, I drafted the wrong Logan Allen.
Logan Allen, yeah,
who's now with the Colorado Rockies, and he's terrible. I mean, he's not good. Versus this Logan Allen, because I didn't check to make sure it was the right one. This Logan Allen is going to be up with the Cleveland Indians. Now, first off, he's with the Cleveland Indians, who know pitching, right? Tampa Bay, Cleveland, Miami, those kind of places, just give you pitching all day long. The other things that you want to look about with that, he's had 3 games started this year. He has a 12.56 K per 9, which is fantastic. He's control pitcher. He's with 3 or below with walks, and he does not have a lot of hard hit rate. He's repeating AAA, where he had, I believe, about 14 games started last year. He's already at 3. He's coming up. So Logan Allen, Cleveland Guardians. Logan Allen is definitely the other pickup.
Thanks,
I would
Mike.
definitely have. Yeah. Sorry, I said Indians, didn't I? Well,
No,
you know
you're
what?
good.
I think
It's
Charlie
like
Sheen.
me
I mean, you said it twice. I was gonna let it fly one time, but when you said it twice, I couldn't.
So Tap, real quick on guys like you're mentioning now, like
Sure.
so dynasty leagues, obviously they're already rostered.
Sure.
Redraft leagues, when is the time to pounce on your standard redraft leagues, right? You've got 25, 26 roster spots total.
Right.
That's counting bench. Maybe a few IR spots, IL spots, whatever you want to call them. When is the correct time in your mind to pounce on a guy like that so that you don't have to go crazy on Fab or blow your number 1 waiver wire spot on them? Because when we have no clue when Logan Allen is actually coming up.
Of course we do. No, I have no idea.
It's tomorrow.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So,
No.
I mean, I would love to say that of course, all you have to do is just, pick them up before an injury happens, right? Because we all know when those are going to happen. But what I like to look at is anytime.
That will be tomorrow.
Right. I mean, here's the problem now is that, Peyton Battenfield, who's going to be a huge Fab pickup this week, right, just has shown that it could be a great 5th starter. But, Aaron Saval is now on the IL. I look for, especially those last pitchers, the 3rd, 4th, most likely the 5th, how they're doing over the last couple starts. If they start just, especially on how long they're out there, if they get shelled, but they make it, 5 innings, I see managers sometimes give, we'll give him a little bit more because he's still giving us 6 innings, whatever. But when they start taxing the bullpen, then that starter becomes a big time liability, right? Because again, the manager's not playing fantasy baseball. They don't care if their ERA goes up as long as, we can still make it with the bullpen. But if they're taxing the bullpen as well, then they become a huge liability. So I start looking to see how long those starts are and start looking to say, okay, if we hit 2 starts with 4 innings pitched or less, then I start looking, okay, this guy, we want to maybe look at who the top tier starting pitcher, that next starting pitching prospect is for that team. That's when I start identifying those. When I saw Bumgarner get, lit up those time, feels like forever. That's when I started grabbing, Pfaadt in all my leagues. So those are my quick identifiers, right? That 4th, 5th starter, they start getting shelled, especially short outings. You go grab that top tier prospect.
No, makes sense. All right. Well, that is all we got for the show, everybody. I want to thank both you and AJ Dapp for hanging in there for this hour and a half.
No problem.
AJ,
Anytime.
you were here for 45 of it. That's good. I just did that on purpose just to fuck with you. All right.
Hey, kudos to me for getting in.
For actually coming back.
I know.
So, yeah, maybe
Yeah,
we should take
so,
notes
all right.
on How I do things.
So anyway, thank you for hanging out. We will not have a baseball show next week. Next Thursday, unfortunately, is the NFL draft. Not unfortunately, I have a good time with it. Sorry, Dap.
It's okay.
If you want to do your own thing next week with whoever, go for it, man. We can figure something out. But Thursday night will not be a baseball show. It will be the NFL draft show. We're going to have a slew of guests that come on, man. There are what the hell is going on here? This is terrible. This is terrible, AJ. No, stop it. Don't do it.
That's the Minority Report. That's the poster from the Minority Report.
Yes, I realized that.
Anyway,
so there are a ton of guests coming on. It's going to be a good time. Shut up, AJ. Hope you guys tune in, and looking forward to it. So we will check you out then, and hope you check us out then, and have a good night, everybody. Peace.